Alrighty. Guess now's a good time to jump back into this. So, yes, I am live once again, and I am doing Sketch Jam after, the better part of 3 months. It's been that long, and yeah, I am a little bit out of practice, but I assure you I have been drawing this entire time, and I am, I've been working this entire time. So, yeah. Bringing back the old famous faces as it was, and I am looking forward to just doing a relatively short one. So, I'll just go over the news, I guess. That's a good place to start. I've recently gotten the DJI mini lapel mic, so I don't have to worry too much about getting like echoes and acoustic issues and all that fun stuff when it comes to not being heard properly. And these are actually really, really good. Like, I was genuinely surprised, and I find the little what are they called? The wind breaker things, these little fuzzy hats that they wear, absolutely adorable as well. Like, I've got another one. It's very cool. It comes in a box of two, so I really should stop talking about them. So what I'm going to be drawing here is obviously, I want to do a caricature of Sabrina Carpenter here. And it would help if I didn't draw on the layer that the photo is on, but, it's kind of a whatever. So I haven't done a sketch jam in, God, yeah, a bit over 2.5 months at this point. It's in terms of being a content creator, that is a nauseating long time. And don't get me wrong, I was still like uploading and making new stuff and really devoting my attention to other platforms. And really letting my schedule kind of lapse and go by the wayside. But I assure you, I am back for realsies this time. And I sort of want to keep the content just sort of coming through as much as possible. Obviously, I don't want to leave any stone unturned when it comes to new stuff. Because that's the thing, I had an absolute backlog of content that I wanted to upload. You'll have to excuse me, I'm just changing up the song there. Just have it playing very quietly in the background. Oh, hey there. How's it going? Just give me 1 minute. Just checking some stuff. Doing some things. Excellent. So you may be wondering why the format is so like squashed and narrow here. This is basically mobile phone width. So yeah, I can draw to like these dimensions. Just gonna throw in a bit of color. And ever so slightly. So the track you're hearing in the background is Neon Thrills, and that used to be an unofficial theme song as I was waiting to start a new stream. Like there'd be like sort of a time for me to get all set up and everything like that, and I'd have that just playing. Sometimes on the loop, sometimes it would just sort of go into random tunes and everything like that, but for the most part, I just thought it's cute, but it's also like a little bit redundant at this point, and I've since scrapped using that song. So when I get the opportunity, I do make my own pens in Procreate. It's fairly simple. You just take the existing pens and you just sort of play around with them as much as you can. It's actually a whole lot hotter than I thought. I don't know what cat's eye is, but I am happy to look it up. Once I'm finished here. I'm gonna find some different pics. What's her name? And she's got that 70s curler hair, which is very pretty. Okay, now let's put some ink on this one and we'll take it to the next level. This one's a bit of a test run. I mean, everything's a test run when it boils down to. But I think because I've been away for so long, I haven't done a sketch jam in basically 90 days. Um, it really comes down to the fact that new skill, particularly new skills, like skills that you've recently, put in effort to start acquiring, they absolutely have a shelf life. You got to work at that stuff like all the time. But that's the other thing. Like you do get very kind of single-minded in your quests. It's like I'm absolutely going to achieve this, and it's going to be awesome when I do. And then I'm just going to sort of briefly bask in the glory of it, and then move straight on to the next thing. because that's basically the life when you're start again, when you're in entertainment, and when you're, you know, when you've set some goals for yourself, and that's how it all works. And that's the interesting thing as well. Like, when your goals, like, I mean, it's fine to have goals, but sort of don't talk about them too much or at all. Like, realistically, when you've got, something that you want to do, I have found personally, the more I talk about something, like, you know, what I have in mind, the more it becomes like just conjecture and good intentions. It's like, oh, I thought about doing that, and I thought about doing this, and I thought about doing the other thing, and now I'm just like, you know what? I don't have to, prove anything to anyone except myself, and now I'm letting me down. It's like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. And that's the interesting thing about, you know, realizing that the time here is finite, and you've absolutely got to do what you can with what you have, and try not to cringe too much along the way. I've found that also is a very important thing. Like, you cannot be like too worked up about these sorts of things. It's got quite dark eyebrows, this one. Watch this interesting video on TikTok of all places about how the United States is realistically divided up. Like, it's not like, I mean, it is and it isn't, 50 separate states. It's more like 10 distinct areas that have some overlap, but for the most part are as about as culturally distinct from each other as the countries and nation states of Europe. Like, they have a shared language for the most part, and there's obviously the united part of the United States, but when you boil it down, you realize that these parts of the country of the same landmass have been settled and developed by consecutively similar people from certain parts of the planet. You got places that are distinctly, Scottish and Irish, and you got places that are absolutely Spanish and, French areas and everything like that. And although there have been, wars and conflicts and just waves of migration that have sort of taken over these areas since then, it's like, for the most part, they have remained culturally very, very, very much the same as they've always been. And it's like it's like the values and the morals and all that kind of stuff. And it's how, like, certain comedians, for instance, will point out these differences. And the people from these areas, they by and large completely agree with what's being said, but a lot of people can't quite put their finger on as to why. And yeah, I mean, that's basically the reason. So we'll knock out that under sketch. We'll start banging in the colour. Just going to keep today's stream short and sweet, guys. I'm not going to, get too long in the tooth. I recorded some B-roll for an upcoming stream. I will be doing some more fan art stuff because I do have a convention coming up in a few months. Looking forward to that. Some sad news. Tragically, at a convention that I wasn't at, there was a car accident that actually hit and killed one of the attendees. It was really sad. Like some guy in his 20s, that was his day out with his mates and everything, and and then some reckless driver was apparently, fanging it around, and 1 minute he's either moving around or on his way out of the convention hall. Next minute, like, there's this car, and like you see like this indentation in the crumple zone at the front of it where he's hit and his head has gone and it's just smashed and ricocheted off the windscreen, and you can see this head-shaped depression, like crack in the windscreen, and you just think, yeah, that's some brutal Final Destination right there. Like, I've been to dozens of conventions throughout my lifetime. Like, I started attending conventions back in 2010. Just as a guest, just to wander through and check it out. And like, I've been to so many conventions that they all have the same or similar layout and pattern and everything like that. Like, every convention I've attended has like an artist alley, for instance, and a place for touring celebrities to sign DVDs and pop vinyl figures and T-shirts and hoodies and whatever. And it's just interesting seeing how the similarities between all of them just seem to be very pervasive and always there. So I'm genuinely fascinated by how conventions, first started, and I think they're a natural expression of our need as humans to build flea markets. That's one of our innate abilities, is to build a good flea market. And I think that's one of you know, the things that is just ingrained in us. As soon as enough of us, living in a certain area, there's just there's just this strong desire that just comes from tribal and communal living, where we just absolutely have to have a flea market. And if it's a flea market that's selling, like, bootleg AI Pokemon art that looks like it was, you know, done pretty much the night before the convention, then yeah, that's pretty much where it comes from. That's the whole impetus behind, conventions and stuff. And like, I've been to heaps of them, and I find that quite a few of them have guys that are selling books, like original, like comics and stuff like that. Stuff that they've self-published and really poured their hearts and souls into. And some of them are good, like some of them are genuinely good, but I have found that, like, most of the self-published stuff, with only a few exceptions, is usually pretty ordinary. Not to say that I'm not above self-publishing. I absolutely love the idea of, just getting back into compiling a bunch of original content. But I have seen some pretty dreadful, like, self-published books. Like, I remember one of the first conventions I ever went to, there was this guy, and he really, like, you could tell that these, like, self-published comic books that he'd made were his babies. Those were his life's work. Like, there was nothing in this world at that point in time that could not have made him any prouder. And when I went up and I bought, a copy for myself of all, like, I think I bought like three. Yeah, he had three comic books. And, I took him home, I gave him a read, and I just remember, like, reading these and just thinking, they were terrible. Like, the artwork was awful, the stories were very derivative and not particularly interesting, the character was boring, and like, he was like a cross between RoboCop, Gizmo Duck, and Roger Rabbit. And honestly, I read it and I thought, you know what? I felt good just giving the guy some money. You know that feeling you sometimes get where you feel magnanimous and charitable. Like, I don't know if anybody else feels this, but like, you ever go to, like, well, for instance, a flea market, and you just think, yeah, these people, they seem pretty poor. So, and you see some, like, really sad looking individual, like, sitting by themselves at a booth, you know, and you can tell, even though they're trying to look like, trying to put on a brave face and stuff, that their heart is breaking at the prospect of just how much money they've put into, getting a spot and setting up and having like all these good intentions and stuff, and then just seeing it basically collapse in front of them. Because yes, it like selling stuff to strangers is difficult, but if the product that you're trying to sell is terrible, then that's like, yeah, that's a very hard pill to swallow. See, when I do conventions, all I do at them is just caricatures. I just say, look, if you want to get yourself a drawing, that's what I do. I sell pretty much nothing else. There might be, you know, some like prints or gift cards or whatever, but for the most part, like I don't have anything particularly to sell. Like just there to draw some funny pictures, and every now and then I will get people going, oh, can I buy one of your wall prints? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's like I'm not going to turn down a sale because because I am too critical of my own artwork. I'm just not that. I'm not wired that way. I'm just like, look, if you want it and you're willing to pay the what I'm asking for it, then yeah, have it. It's cool. Like that's absolutely how I view that kind of stuff. Yep. And that's the interesting thing as well. Like I love the energy and I love the vibes and stuff and everything like that. That a convention can bring. It's always a lot of fun, and I've been to a few of them. Like I was there when I was at a convention when Stan Lee was touring Australia, and he was very old at that point, and very tired and ragged looking. But he stayed and he signed everything for everyone. He had a list. He had people just waiting for him, queuing for like hours and hours. Like some people just bought a ticket to go to the convention just for a chance to meet and get a photo with Stan the Man Lee, who was in his 90s at that point. Like he was really in no condition at his age, at his advanced years, to be you know spending that amount of time with that amount of people for really not that huge amount of money. But like that's the thing, like that's what I admire about that kind of dedication. Like he knew that the fans will likely this would likely be a lot of Australian fans last time ever to see Stan Lee alive. Because yeah, I mean, he was in his 90s at that point, and he was an old man. And I mean, like you've got a legacy when a complete stranger just comes along with you know a wagon full of merchandise, and he wants you to sign all of it, and he doesn't care how much it costs. And yeah, look, I admire that, like, just that, the business sense of it all. I admire, I admire two things: work ethic and, like, just, how am I going to make money doing this? Very important. I was also at a convention when Chuck Norris was there, and I didn't realize at the time, but he's actually, like, when he was alive, he's actually a lot shorter in real life than I was expecting him to be. Like, I'm genuinely shocked when, I see famous people and they're either way taller, but usually the case is they're way shorter than they appear on screen. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I had no way of, like, really, like, measuring how tall I was by comparison, but I have a reasonable assessment when I see somebody standing. Like, you can kind of judge just by, like, looking from across the room, just how tall somebody really is. It's a similar thing, like, back when I was doing more conventions, like, on a more frequent basis. Jason Momoa was, he was there to do some signing and stuff like that. And, you know, I had no idea how tall he actually was until he walked past me and said hi. Like, I was there just minding my own business. We were all getting set up and everything like that. I had my booth, and we were just, milling about, enjoying our coffees, and waiting for the guests to arrive. And who should come walking past with his entourage but Jason Momoa, the Aquaman himself. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So I don't really get, like, starstruck, but of the famous people I've seen, like, in real life, and I've seen a few of them, like, Vanessa Williams, Lady Gaga, Pink, uh, what's his name? What's his name? John Travolta, Russell Crowe, Kurt Angle. Actually, I saw Kurt Angle at the airport once. He was just having his lunch and everything. And that's the thing. Like, part of me wanted to say hi, part of me wanted to get a selfie with him, and then that other part of me just said, just let the man eat. He's clearly just concentrating on his sandwich. Just let the man eat. And that's kind of, you know that's what I do when it comes to those, like, moments when I do meet a famous person. I just kind of think, you know what? I'm just gonna be cool. I'm not gonna get, like, all gooey and everything like that, because they're just people. And that's the thing. Like, I can't really get starstruck. I actually, I was at a gig, and I was working at the Four Seasons in Sydney, and this was, like, last year, and it was for a Christmas party. And I get on the elevator to go up to the party and everything, and the comedian Tom Segura was on my elevator. And I just paused for a minute, and I looked at him right in his eyes, and he looked back at me. And for a moment, I'm thinking, you look familiar, but I'm not sure. I can't put a name to the face. You ever have that moment where you just sort of think, oh, he's from that thing, that movie, that TV show, that Netflix special. He's from something, and I'm just drawing a blank, because that's the thing. Like you get so used to seeing these people like either on your phone or you know on like big projection movie screens and everything like that, and you just think, oh wow. And then when you see them in real life, and Tom's actually reasonably tall, like he's around about my height, so like I was expecting a shorter guy as well, but like he's fairly tall, and that's the thing, like seeing a famous person in real life when you're not expecting to see one, it also in close proximity, like on an elevator, that also threw me as well. But anyway, I've been rattling on for a little too long, but I have enjoyed you guys' company. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you like this uh, quick, relatively quick drawing of Sabrina Carpenter. I will be back and I'll be doing these more frequently going forward. If you haven't, please subscribe, follow, stalk me on socials. I'm around. You'll be able to find it. It's all good. But yeah, in the meantime, yes, Sketch Jam is officially back. I will try to mix it up a little bit with these sort of mobile phone size screen drawings as well as other stuff as well. So yeah, I'll just leave it there. I want to thank everyone who has stuck by me all this time, and yeah, I'll be back with more stories and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I'll see ya. As I say all the time, I'll see ya when I see ya.